Okay, so the first thing I want to do is introduce you to LiveKit and help you understand it a little bit. It does a lot, so it's. I would recommend that you actually go to docs.livekit.io and actually just read some of the documentation there. But for what we're going to use LiveKit for, it's going to be around using it to create a voice AI assistant. And that voice AI assistant is then going to play a message for the caller. The caller will be able to ask it questions and then from there route the call to a particular department or division of the company. So it could be billing, it could be tech support, it could be whatever you kind of come up with. So that's really what our use case will entail. But I think the one of the things that I guess we really need to like help you understand is that LiveKit is built off the concepts of WebRTC. So if you kind of like think through how WebRTC works, is typically in the context of building up a some type of video conferencing solution around it. So if you kind of think how that works is that I join a conference room and then other people join the conference room and then we communicate. And what we'll be building here is kind of the same concept, but instead of multiple humans joining the conference room, you'll have the caller calling in, hitting LiveKit, and they'll be joined into a room. And then what's going to happen, the AI agent will then join that particular room and start interacting with the actual caller. So the main concepts and constructs of WebRTC are used in order to make this happen. But I guess the big thing that they've added to the mix here is that you can easily and quickly create an actual AI agent that will join this room and actually talk to the human. So I think it's super exciting what they built. They made it super easy to work with. But I think it's this. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of different use cases. I'm going to try and hone in for this series on the telephony aspect. So with that, let me pop on to the telephony section of the docs here. So the cool thing about LiveKit is that if you're using LiveKit Cloud, which I guess I need to back up and kind of tell you the components of LiveKit a little bit. You have LiveKit the cloud, which is basically a cloud version or a hosted version of the LiveKit open source project. And when you use the LiveKit cloud, it actually has the components that makes it accessible from a telephony perspective. If you're using the self-hosted LiveKit, you will have to set up the SIP component, and there's some documentations in order to do it. So for my examples and what I'll be doing in this series, I'm going to be using the LiveKit Cloud. So, but you can see from this diagram here is that there's the LiveKit SIP server here, and there's there's the LiveKit SIP component, and then you have the actual core LiveKit server. And so the LiveKit SIP is the component that interacts with your SIP trunking provider. Right now, LiveKit has support for 4 SIP providers. For our example, we'll be using Twilio. The one thing I've noticed is that the the use case, there's a couple of different use cases you can do, and there's some caveats to it. But most of the providers I think the main reason why they picked the providers that they've picked is that they support dSIPRouter. And I'll talk more about dSIPRouter in a little bit, but I think that's the reason why they have a very limited set of providers that they support. There's a number of different ways you can kind of implement this, but at the end of the day, you're seeing here where in the LiveKit server, as I talked about, you'll have the end user calling inbound, getting placed into a room on the LiveKit server, and then it will then ask an agent to actually join that particular room. The cool thing about it is that the actual logic that runs your agent actually can sit on anywhere really. So it actually needs a WebSocket connection, or better, it creates a WebSocket connection to your agent code. And that agent code tells LiveKit how and what your agent will be able to do. And I'll show that in a few minutes here, just to kind of hopefully make it more understandable of how this actually works. But I just wanted to kind of point this out. As I talked about before, there's basically 4 carriers that they support today. There is some docs and some guides on how to actually set up a SIP trunk, and how to actually start accepting inbound calls and how to do outbound calls. We will be showing this later on in the series, but I just wanted to, if you wanted to get ahead of it, or if you wanted to look at it and read about it, is all here on their website. So, all right, so now that we have kind of a basic understanding of what LiveKit is and how it kind of integrates with or intersects with kind of these basic concepts of WebRTC, and how they've now brought in the concept of an AI model, let's go through and talk through how do we see it, one of the use cases or patterns of how you can use it with dSIPRouter. So I'm going to show this in a couple of ways. I'm going to move myself up out of the way here a little bit and talk through this. So a couple of things. So first off, the solid lines is SIP interactions, and then the lines with hyphens in it is WebSocket integration. All right, so let's take an example here. We have our SIP provider. This SIP provider provides a DID, a phone number, right? And what I want to do is have this phone number really call into LiveKit. LiveKit is going to provide a voice AI agent. And the way it does that is that once LiveKit sees the phone number coming inbound to its cloud environment, it's going to then call out to a LiveKit agent. And a LiveKit agent is basically just code, that actually gives it instructions on what your agent is going to do. In our case, we're using Python, but there's a number of SDKs for different languages available. Now, what you're seeing here is that in a production environment, we need somewhere to run our code. So dSIPRouter actually comes with Docker already deployed onto dSIPRouter when you install it. So when you install dSIPRouter, it has a Docker instance sitting there. or a Docker is running, not an instance, but a Docker is running. No, there's no containers, there's no images, there's nothing there, but it's just sitting there. And so what you can do is actually take the code that was going to actually run your agent. You can actually put it on dSIPRouter as a Docker image. So you can start it up. What it's going to do is going to register with the LiveKit cloud here. And so that whenever a call comes through, it's gonna communicate with a LiveKit agent. Mind you, WebSockets creates a bidirectional communication. So it's in that channels stays open. So as soon as I call with my main number, it's going to hit LiveKit Cloud, and then LiveKit Cloud is going to talk to the LiveKit agent running on dSIPRouter and figure out what to do. Then once, let's say it actually says a message says, "Thank you for calling our company. Press 1 for for customer service, 2 for technical support, 3 for billing," something of that nature. When somebody hits a number, let's just say they hit tech support, LiveKit is going to send a SIPRouter with the DID of tech support, with the phone number of where the tech support system resides. And so what happens then is that the SIP provider, in our case we're using Twilio, will then send a fresh new call, or aka SIP invite, with the DID of tech support to dSIPRouter. dSIPRouter knows about that particular phone number, and then it's going to route it to the actual system that actually has the tech support agents sitting there waiting for your call. So, and likewise, if they hit billing, is actually going to go to the system or the set of people that are supporting billing. The way this architecture is set up in a way that, especially if you have a larger company and you have different organizations or different groups of folks, maybe that may be spread out throughout the world, that may need to you need to distribute those calls to different actual physical locations. So dSIPRouter helps you do that without having to make your code for LiveKit more complicated, or to give you a little bit more control in runtime on how you want those calls to be routed. That way you don't have to change any code anywhere in LiveKit. You can just simply change the DIDs to the actual systems that actually going to receive the actual calls. Now, once that call is routed to dSIPRouter, dSIPRouter will then obviously route it out to those entities. So now that I explained to you the actual kind of the high level architecture of what we're going to be talking through in this series, let me go ahead and actually play what it sounds like when you call into this. And I'm also going to show you what my screen looks like when it actually plays it. So that way you'll have a kind of an idea of what happens from a SIP perspective. So let me size everything properly here. So at the very top is my agent code. My agent code is written using the Python SDK. Below here is my dSIPRouter box running sng grep, so we can actually see when the refer hits the box. So I'm going to use my cell phone here, and I'm going to call the system. I'm going to put it on speaker. You can see that is actually interacting here. And yep. And the one thing here is that if you start talking, before the agent starts talking, it's waiting for you to, it interrupts and kind of waiting for you to finish your thought. Okay, so what you're seeing here is that is actually calling my, is referring the call from LiveKit back to Twilio, and then Twilio is now routing a call to my dSIPRouter box, which will then, there you go. In the next series, we're actually going to walk through the LiveKit Portal interface. We're going to configure Twilio to route calls to LiveKit Cloud. And then we're going to actually configure our agent